We can only speak for our story for where it was. I didn't know how to have peace in the tension. So therefore I ran from tension and became the peace quote maker. And my ability to try to create peace in every environment was to run from conflict. And that's so the worst thing you could ever do.
I'm with you.
And I'm like, that's all I ever knew how to do is like, well, and that's why I always like, be kind, be nice, be friendly. Hey, all right, we're not going to talk about that. Let's change the subject. Let's keep moving. But the goal is like, no.
Let's have this out.
Let's have the conversation and learn how to grow through this tension to get the better result on the other end.
It's so, I mean, Rhett, that's so well said. Like that. I mean, talk about cover a multitude of sin. I could have covered a multitude of wasted time or frustration. Even in ministry, growing up many years later, that stuff, I would back off. Like, well, if you're going to come in that high, I guess I'm going to act like you're right. And I would back off and feeling like I'm the right one by backing off. But I'm the one who avoided the chance to say, but I don't agree with that. Here's how I see it.
What is going on, friends? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast with your friends, Rhett and Justin, right here at Armchair Authentic. It's always great to have you along for the ride. Today, we cannot wait to jump into the conversation, so we're jumping into it right now. You guys ready? Here we go. Some people probably think that we just like cut in and like just started laughing.
That used to be the cool thing to do like on albums.
Something was said or whatever. We're just looking at each other trying to figure out how to start this thing.
It makes you laugh.
In full disclosure, we just had like 10 chocolate chip cookies.
Man, yeah.
And a whole thing of sweet tea.
So good. Thank you, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
For lunch.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
My
corn dogs. Thank you for the corn dogs.
Yeah, bring people into perspective here. Here we are having a conversation after a conversation from another episode that we recorded that will be released here pretty soon. And we needed a chance to, eat some food.
And unwind. Conversations are even if they're great convos, as you know, they take a lot out of you. So you got to have a little bit of that. You just got to have a little.
We needed to re-energize.
I have to have a re-energizing moment.
Yeah, sure. No, me too. And here's just the full disclaimer: we baked chocolate chip cookies.
We did. So good.
And then we ate 2 corn dogs with chips and chip dip, whatever the heck of a.
I'm not much.
Heck of a. I don't know if I can say it.
Oh, okay.
Well, the dip is called hell of a.
Hell
of a dip. Yeah. You say it really hell of a.
So it's like a play on words.
It just hit you, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was just called hell of a.
Yeah. No. It is called hell of a.
Now I'm getting it as I just said it. Okay. Okay.
There you go.
I got it. Okay.
Some of the best chip dip out there. If you don't have that in your state or country,
but that's literally the name.
That's literally the name.
Okay. Yeah. I never thought that. My mind never went there.
That in addition to some Milo sweet tea.
I totally get it as I'm thinking it now. I'm like, God, I just said that. Sorry.
You didn't. No, you're fine.
It was innocent.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're not that innocent. Cue the Britney Spears song. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, so this conversation might be one full of high energy because we've got like a 7-year-old. You put a little pump of sugar in them and they're spinning around the wall. So the beginning of this thing might start pretty fast.
It's going to be an epic ending though, guys.
It's slowly going to crash down. So just get ready for the ride today.
The crash down though will fit the moment we'll take it to.
Yeah. So something interesting, I would say that was challenging for me yesterday. I walked out to my little 2006 little Miata. It's a 2006, right? It's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
So the top on it, I know had a small little leak. I knew that when I bought the car, and I knew that eventually I'd probably need to replace the top.
Eventually.
Yeah. And which isn't cheap. And I knew that. I already had built in the margin, go, okay, if I fix this, it's going to be around this, but I can wait, right?
Right.
Well, we had a lot of intense thunderstorms come through over the weekend.
Man, it was intense.
Yeah. And so a lot of rain. And I should have thought, well, it didn't matter if I would have thought or not. We only have it's a 2-car garage, but let's be honest, you can really only put 1 car in the garage.
These days, for sure.
It's a 2-car garage. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I got a house with 2 garage doors.
That's a truly 2 garage situation.
It's still a 1-car garage. I mean, we can't fit another car.
So the car's outside, and I'm thinking, I never thought to myself to think, that's a lot of rain we had. I wonder if that impacted the car.
Yeah.
So yesterday I go out and get into the car, and I'm like, there is a lake I'm not making this up, of at least an inch of water on the driver's side floorboard.
Rhett, I mean, that's...
And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I got,
let me say this too, because I'm not getting to give a fair reaction because me and you talked about this.
Yeah.
But when you told me that, I was like, I thought you just meant an inch of rain, but I was like, whoa.
No,
like
in the car.
Your car. Like
on the driver's side.
Sat down, your feet would have been...
Oh, yeah. My soles of the shoe would have been soaked. And I was like,
Crazy.
This is not good. So I went and got a bunch of towels, old ones, started trying to sop it up. Is that a word?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is with bread.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I realized it wasn't doing the job. And I was like, hold on, what am I doing? I'm going through 5 towels already, and I'm just not knocking a dent in this thing. And I'm thinking, I bought that shop vac for a reason. And so I went and got it and turned it on, and it took me a while, probably about, I don't want to say 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm sucking it up, pouring water out. I mean, I got a whole picture. Did I show you the picture?
No.
Well, I'll show it to you later. But the picture of the water.
You might have to put that on the the intro socials when this episode airs.
And so, yeah.
Which it clearly has.
And so I sucked up all the water through the shop vac. And then I did what any smart man would do, is I turned the heater on the car, shut everything, and just let the car run for about an hour and 15 minutes. I go out and check on it every once in a while, make sure everything was, not overheating or anything.
Yeah.
And
did that not make it mildewy?
No, well, that's the point of like doing the heater, is drying it out.
So so the heater, I guess, does.
Yeah, so I completely was able to dry it out, and then opened up the top and went for a ride and kept it out in the sun a little bit. And yeah, so it's as if it never even happened.
Okay.
At this point. But yeah, so that's not a great way to start out your day. I was literally about to head over and get my coffee, and I was like, well, this is going to be a little interesting.
My Monday or whatever day, it's like, this is going to be different.
So, yeah. So,
dude, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, there's that.
But now it's good.
It's good now.
It's dried.
But I told my wife, I said, okay, here's what happened. I said, ultimately, we were going to have to replace the top anyway. And this is about how much it cost. But I'm thinking about us just buying a car cover. And she was like, I like that idea. It's like a couple thousand.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's at least $1,000 less than whatever. Car cover's like $200. I mean, you can get it for 120, but I wanted something that was like 100% waterproof.
Yeah.
So now what I'm going to do is, when that cover should come in a couple of days, and I'm just going to, whenever I see rain in the forecast, go out there and cover it and not have to worry about it.
And then you can get like the brand name Porsche on it and let people imagine.
Yeah. I'd be like Joey at Friends.
Yeah.
Put a car cover over a bunch of boxes.
He's like, shh, don't mess with her. She's sleeping.
But no, man, it's a fun little car. It's 2006, so of course the top needs to be replaced. It's never been replaced.
It is a cool car, though.
It's a lot of fun.
We've taken our breaks before in between episodes, and you'll take me on a drive around your neighborhood, which you've actually got. You showed me a site the other day.
What I did?
And the mountains.
Yeah.
I've never been to this particular peak that you let me see. You're overlooking. It's just gorgeous. I mean, where we live in Birmingham, Alabama, I mean, it is Tree City, USA. And so this really gave the name to it because it was awesome.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
Anyways,
good ride.
Something that happened. Yeah. If anybody cares.
Yeah. You've always wanted one of these cool little cars. You got you a little Miata.
I tell people this, they're like, oh man, look at you, a little convertible. I'm like, God, it was like $5,000. And I know that's still a lot of money, but I'm like,
yeah, not the way they're saying it.
Yeah. I'm like, come on. I'm like, guys, I bought this. It had a broken windshield. It had a broken, here's the thing. I got such a great deal on it because the windshield was busted. I was like, oh yeah, well, I'll take care of that. Yeah. The rear view mirror was busted. I was like, oh, no big deal. It's like $20, whatever, 40. I think it's 40. The thing that I was like, the biggest thing for me was the dash, not the dashboard, but the instrument panel. Like the light was coming on and off. It's a digital display, and like where you could read the mileage.
Yeah.
There would be days you could see the mileage and days you couldn't see the mileage. It was really weird. And I was like, yeah, I can figure that out. You know?
Yeah.
So the guy that sold me the car was like, I can't believe I found some idiot to buy this. You can't even see how many miles are on it. But I saw enough of it to know, okay, we're good. And I did the Carfax thing and all that. So we were good. But so, I mean, I've fixed it up here and there.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's fun. It's my motor.
Yeah.
I can't get a motorcycle because I could, but I'm a wise man because I'm listening to the wisdom of the Lord through my wife.
That's right. A lot of wisdom there, by the way.
And so this is my, next best thing. And I enjoy it because you can have somebody sitting right next to you and go out together and you don't have to ride by you can still ride by yourself, but you can have somebody. Yeah.
No one else.
It's probably funny because I'm 6'1" and my head's like over the windshield.
You can't have a GITB, but you can have two up front.
Yeah, you can.
Goob in the back.
Goob in the back.
Yeah, that's what we'd always talk about, that. The third wheel.
But someone
had to be in the back seat.
It's a very impractical car, but I'm 47, so it's my midlife, whatever.
And you're able to do that. You pull it off well. I mean, you pull up to small group in that thing. Oh. I'm like, that looks like Mr. Banks. Oh, Father of the Bride.
What?
Mr. Banks.
Mr. Banks.
It looks like Mr. Banks pulling up in his little car. And if you run out of gas, you just got to get out and carry it.
Yeah.
To the nearest gas
fold it
station.
up, put it in my pocket, and walk off with it.
When I got the car still that I'm driving today, and my dad sells cars. And
shout out to Bill Bradshaw.
Come on, Bill, still selling cars, 86 years old, man.
Give the shout out. Where's he at? If somebody's in Birmingham and wants to buy a car.
If you are in the Alabama area, 500 cities across the nation, make your way to Birmingham, Alabama. Buy a car from Bill Bradshaw at Royal Automotive.
Royal Automotive. That's a huge shout out to Royal. We ought to get them
Royal.
Yeah, there you go.
Royal, I'm coming for you to be our sponsor.
Yeah. Now, Bill, if somebody comes and buys a car based off this, we want a little cut. So
yeah, well, I probably get a little cut every now and again. Oh, Bill.
Your dad is really good.
Cut.
He does
He's a
help
generous
people,
man. Oh, my dad's awesome.
And don't be surprised at how many people won't travel out of state to go buy a car at another dealership, because I've done that. When I was living in Idaho, I found my car in Salt Lake City.
That's right. Well, hey, my dad will tell you he's old school, but it's that honesty that you get from him. People will buy their car from him, and you can get on the computer and read all the specs, because he's like, I don't really get on the computer to show you all this stuff because I don't know how to get around online. But it's been really cool to watch him. Just I mean, he stays relevant just because of he's just real. He's real with you.
He's good.
You can trust him.
Yeah.
But he found this car for me one time. I was looking for something a little newer, but he called me and said, hey, you need to check this out. This was probably 5 years ago, so 2020, probably 2018, let's say. And there was a 2005 Suburban. The reason he called me over, he said, I know this is older than what you're looking for, but it has, at that time, it only had 60,000 miles on it.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
And he was like, you need to come look at this. You can get a still. And even though it was older, it was like having a new car.
Yeah.
Because the guy who owned it, literally, he just used it to pull his boat.
Yeah.
And he wanted to buy his wife a brand new car, and he needed to free up space. So there you go. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I go buy that just almost sight unseen.
You bought a brand new car that was just old due to years.
Yeah. And
that's it.
And here's one thing that didn't work. What reminded me of the story is when you were talking about like the odometer.
Yeah.
On mine, the odometer actually would come in and come out.
Yeah, that's what mine was.
So I had to have a brand new one put in. Other than that, I went and put a really nice radio in it with Apple Play, all the things, because it still had a cassette tape.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. Like, I love my car, and I will drive it. It probably now has 140,000 miles.
Okay.
I'm going to keep going. Yeah. Just as long as I can.
Well, you know, I had the same vehicle. Mine was an 01.
Yep.
And I got 356,000 miles out of mine.
That's encouraging. My goal was to be...
Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of oil changes and different little things I had to replace, but it was so much cheaper than having to go buy a new car.
Well, I mean, as you guys know, I have 4 boys at this time of recording, 15, 14, 10, and 8. And we've had a tradition their whole life, as long as they can remember at least, that on Fridays, school time is always... The school we go to gets out at like 12:30. But now in this season of life, they don't even have it on Friday. And we do homeschool, co-op. We just have a really interesting way that we do school, our own little way that we do it. So on Fridays, we've continued our tradition where I just pick them up and we go do lunch at the same place. And then we come home. I mean, it's our little routine. Mm-hmm. And I've always wanted a car that I can fit everybody in. And so my hope is to keep this Suburban. You know, Dax will be 16 before you know it. Kai, who's 14, he'll be 16 before you know it. So I'm hoping I can at least do that. But at some point, my next car probably won't be as big. But I enjoy an SUV. But it won't be a Miata coming up. I'll need to keep a few more seats in there. But I won't
heard
have
it
to,
here. He said he won't
sit
have a
seat
Miata,
6.
but you just never know.
Brett, do you see me having a Miata?
No, I
honestly?
don't. You're not a car guy. You just could care less. You've
really
driven
not.
Buicks and all kind of your life.
Oh, because
Nothing
my dad,
against a Buick,
my dad
but
was
like,
predominantly a Buick car salesman.
Didn't you have a Toyota Camry at one time? Or was it a...
It was something like that. Yeah.
God,
it was a long time
that's
ago.
opening up
But it was
a
Buick.
memory.
I mean, I had the nickname Paw Paw at 19 years old.
Yeah, you and your brother.
Yeah, we'd bust stuff in there with our Buicks.
The classic.
We
Buicks,
did.
not
Yeah,
like the
Buick
new one.
Regal.
Yeah.
It was like sophistication, but older. And I'm the kid who got him. But yeah.
Yeah, but you could still get to the same places I could. It didn't matter.
It didn't
That's
matter.
the thing with cars.
But I do, at one point, I'm going to get a car that I can really, I love my car now, but I'm going to get one that's maybe some leather interior.
Okay,
Just
so
something like a Jeep.
All right,
maybe.
I'm about to ask you. All right, what is the car? Like, if you could go
The
out right now and have
ideal
the
side of me.
ideal, what would it be? A Jeep?
I would love
You said
like
Jeep.
a 4-door Jeep Wrangler.
Okay.
Yeah, would love that. Or one of those other Jeeps. There's another name I'm not thinking of, but it is. It's more like the.
I would have never taken you as a Jeep guy.
I love
because
the
it's
thought.
a convertible.
It's the thought. I know. It's the thought.
Hard
of
top, soft top.
it. Probably hard top.
Okay, there you go.
But it's just the thought of it. Mm-hmm. Always wanted a Jeep.
So is it the beach side that, hey, we'll take this to the beach and ride it around?
And mountains and beach.
Oh, okay.
All the, I take tons of drives. I mean, rides would be a hobby of mine. Armchair authentic and taking rides.
I was a Jeep guy until I actually
just
drove
love
one.
it.
And
I know. I know. That's what people tell me.
I was like, I want a Jeep. I wanted it white. I wanted the Wrangler. I wanted the 4 doors, all that.
Same.
I get in one and I'm driving it and I'm like, I'm not so much a Jeep guy anymore. And all my friends that have one, Jeff Roberts, get another shout. He had one at one time. I don't know if he still does. He was like, a lot of fun, but worst riding vehicle he's ever driven in his life.
That's what I've heard.
It's so uncomfortable. You know?
I'd have to give one a try.
I mean, if I lived, I mean, for me, if I lived near the beach, that would be one of those that you could put everybody in almost and go out and have fun and ride up and down, put your leg out the side of it. Probably shouldn't do that, but
well, I like the Discovery. What are they called? It's like a Jeep, but it's Land Rover.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, those are kind of cool. I mean, for just a car, like my wife drives a Toyota Highlander, and I think that's awesome. I love a Highlander. They're really cool, and you can fit 6 in them. But when we travel, we just have to put the luggage thing on top so that we can fit all of our suitcases. And then we're going to do a trip to the Grand Canyon, really for summer to walk, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But where she'll officially walk for her doctorate.
I'm glad you finished that up with your doctorate, because some people who might have heard that the first time, we're going to take her to the Grand Canyon to walk. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So she got her doctorate last September, October, but her walking ceremony, well, actually the graduation ceremony happens
That's awesome.
coming up.
Yeah.
And so anytime I rent a car, I try to rent an ideal car of what I think I might buy one day.
Yeah.
And so this time I've rented, it's waiting for us there. I rented a Tahoe. Had to be big enough to travel 6 of us because before she graduates, we'll go check out Antelope Canyon,
That's good.
Grand Canyon, all these spaces.
Yeah.
But the ideal, if I want to keep an SUV, get maybe rid of the Suburban, but maybe go to like a Tahoe.
Well, we downgraded from the Suburban to a Honda CRV. It's a great car.
Those
it gets
are
like
great,
31
man.
miles
Great.
to the gallon.
I wouldn't mind that car either.
In Celinda, because we live, she's about 30 minutes from work.
Yeah.
So it was like that Suburban was starting to like, okay, I miss the Suburban. I miss it. I wanted to keep it, but it was just not, it was not a financial responsible. Well, I don't even have what word I'm looking for, but it wasn't the best decision to keep it. Fiscally, thank you. It wasn't fiscally responsible. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. It just didn't make sense. I wanted it probably more for the memory of it than I did actually for the necessity of it. So,
well, I took mine the other day. Like I was at I'll go to the Botanical Gardens, as I've said before. But I was, as you'll get this, our songwriters, our musicians out there will get this. I was inspired on something that I had been reading earlier, literally in the Psalms.
Okay.
I'm listening to an audiobook at this time. That moment of inspiration just hit me, and I happened to be driving by where the botanical gardens, and I pulled in, I park. I don't want to make like a whole deal of it, so I don't want to bring my guitar in the park. And so, but I just raise up the Suburban, just the back, and I'm just sitting in it. And there I am, sitting in my Suburban, and I have a guitar that travels with me everywhere. So it's like a Taylor GS Mini. By the way, if you're ever looking for a good travel songwriting guitar that might not be your stage guitar, like a GS Mini is a really good quality guitar. Probably $700, $800, $900, maybe $1,000.
Okay.
For me, it's a little smaller, great songwriting guitar, and I keep it basically in my car year round. So if I stop at a place, my Suburban's set up where I can just jump out, change seats, and I have my notebook and I can write. That's what I'll miss about the Suburban. And that, in my mind, that's what I think I could still get with my Jeep, maybe another SUV. You throw up in that hatchback and you create your own little beach. So I create your mountain moment.
I went to play Top Golf the other day, and so I can fit the golf clubs with Greg. Yeah.
Oh, you
I was
did?
on a Friday.
Oh, man, cool.
And so it was fun. It was unexpected, but it was a lot more fun.
Is that your first Top Golf outing?
No, that was my second.
Okay.
But the reason I mentioned that is because I can fit the golf clubs in the back of the Miata, but I have to like take the driver out and like have to like kind of, and I have, like the side, you open this little miniature trunk and then, it's small. And then on the side where you would like, the plastic is, you can like turn a little key part, pull that plastic off, and then it gives you another like 6 inches. But that's where the, like the jack
inches.
and the 6-inch ribbon curls. It's impossible. 6 inches. So it gives you another, right? But that's where the jack lives and everything. So I had to take that plastic piece off to put the clubs in and then, to fit it. But I was like, man, forget this, man. I just put it in the passenger side. And so I'm riding down the interstate going to Top Golf with my
little buddy,
with my golf club sitting right beside me in the
your
passenger
little buddy
seat.
sitting by you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care.
His name's Ping.
Hey, Ping. I could go so many places with that right now.
I could. We just keep going.
Oh man! So Ping was riding with me in the passenger side. Ping in the passenger side. I love this. Yeah. So you're talking about fitting a guitar, like, dude, you could totally put your guitar right there in the passenger seat. But I know
So
if
you're saying it will work, but
it would work, is what I'm saying.
But you would have to literally sit on top of your car to write.
Oh no, you could go back and you could sit on the trunk. Yeah, you could just basically lean back.
Might look kind of cool.
You don't even have to jump up. Like most cars, you're going to have to jump up on. You just kind of have to lean
Little
back.
Miata, look like one of them old Elvis movies.
It's a stool is what it is.
There. It is. It's like, get yourself a Miata.
Yeah.
It serves as a car, as a stool.
I love that car, man. I mean,
if you get tired, sit on the roof. Enjoy the weather.
I mean, the thing will hug the road. It's like my little go-kart. It's my go-kart.
That's a good example. That's a good way to explain it.
Yeah, I don't like driving it on the interstate because people really can't see you that well. Yeah. I don't like, but man, back on these back roads in Alabama, let's go.
Yeah,
windy roads. Yeah.
I feel safe when I was driving with you.
Did you? Because we were just
The only thing in the back of my mind, I was always singing the big city downtown, big city downtown.
Woo! Dude, I watched that show the other day. I was on the airplane.
The movie,
I was on the airplane. I was like, my iPad, I didn't download some shows that I wanted to before I left. I was like, I'll just watch the movie on the plane. And out of all the movies, it was Ferris Bueller. I was like,
yes.
Okay. And I watched it.
Iconic.
And I was... He'll keep calling me. He'll keep calling me. Oh, man.
That's it. Okay.
Okay.
I'll go.
And then it shows him getting out of the car, like jumping up and down in the back.
A fit.
Then he gets back in the car. Yeah. Oh man.
Keep calling me. Keep calling me. Keep calling me.
When Cameron was in Egypt
land. Let my Cameron go.
Oh man!
That's a good movie.
The Bueller dude. Oh,
the Bueller dude. I don't know if anybody's called him that, but that's a great name.
Bueller.
Oh, the Bueller dude. I'm with you now.
Yeah.
I thought you were calling Ferris. The Bueller dude. You literally meant the teacher.
Bueller. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
He
good.
just keeps calling the name. It shows those scenes where all the teenagers have their one guy's like got his head on the desk and it's nothing but slobber.
Oh, that always
like,
grossed me. I never watched any part that shows any kind of like slobber or from the nose.
Yeah,
I can't handle it. It will ruin a movie for me.
Oh, totally.
It's almost it's the only part that messes up the movie bedtime stories for me.
You've seen that movie a lot more
because
than me.
All I remember is Sandler. Oh yeah, that's a great part. But there's one part where they go to this planet and it's like Boogeropia.
Oh Lord,
and
gross.
Everything is mucus. And I'm like, no.
It's like that one scene in Stand By Me. Is it?
Oh yeah,
where they have they're eating the hot dog or pie eating contest. Yeah, I have to forward that.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that was disgusting.
Yeah, can't do it.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
Man.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, we're pretty.
We're 25 minutes in.
Me and some of my boys are pretty weak stomach when it comes to stuff like that.
That's okay.
I can see a lot of stuff. I can watch blood, guts. I can do tons of things. But if it has to do with like slobber or stuff out of your nose, I can't. I don't even. It pained me to say the B word a while ago about the name of that planet.
The planet.
Yeah.
The B word.
Boogeropia.
Oh.
Boogeropolis. Whatever it is. I hate that word.
I don't even remember that.
I hate that word. I hate it.
Yeah.
I can't go there.
All right. Well, we won't say it. Why do you keep saying it?
Because now I can't stop thinking about it.
It's like, whatever you do, don't think about purple elephants. Whatever, just don't think about purple elephants. And all you can think about is purple elephants.
Okay. We've talked some iconic movies here. Yeah. Another one for you. I don't know if you've seen this lately, but it is maybe because of my age, but it has been completely filling up like the whole thread, like on socials.
Okay.
Where you scroll through. Okay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990, 35 years since that movie came out.
Love it.
Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah.
I still remember being in my apartment. Your dad drove you. Obviously, you could have walked to my house. You could have thrown a rock at your apartment.
Yeah.
You come upstairs, knock on the door. You're like, you're not going to believe this. You remember?
Festival 18.
I saw the movie poster at Festival 18.
Yep.
I'm like, no. You're like, no. I was like, what is it? You're like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
shut up.
Yeah,
no,
we love the Ninja Turtles. We were huge in the
We
Ninja
could not
Turtles.
believe it, and I didn't believe it. It was like, we got to go see it. And your dad drove us all the way back over to the Festival 18 movie theater.
Crestview, Irondale.
Yes. Just to
25
see,
minutes. Yeah.
Just to see the poster. Because,
it.
we're so spoiled these days. You could just pull up a movie poster on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Or find even previews, everything. Yep. We went all the way there and you remember we stared at that. I mean, probably 15, 20 minutes.
If we would have had a camera, we would have taken a picture of it.
And we would, and the crazy thing is we would then go back.
That was the coolest thing.
It became more of a for that 2 or 3 week period until commercials started coming out. We'd be like, you want to go see that Ninja Turtle poster?
I mean, think about that. But
just their little heads poking out of the manhole.
People who are thinking about, maybe they've never known anything different and all they know is the phone generation, listening to this, you're like, oh, they're old. But I mean, literally, like their newspaper, that was it, and television.
Yeah.
And there was no DVR. There was no way of recording things and going back and watching. You had to be in the moment live.
There was a sense of wonder.
It was so much wonder. So like whenever there was that moment of I see something, you actually had to go way out of your way to get to the point to where you saw that again.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was something special about that.
It taught you some appreciation too, because it was like, oh my gosh, I just appreciate this.
Yeah. Delayed gratification, maybe.
Yeah, it was. That's a good word for it.
You know,
because it's not instant. It's not microwave. You had to wait a little bit.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
that's the thing. By the way, have you ever seen like psychologically they'll do these experiments like with kids? Like, have you seen it where it's a plate full of Oreos?
Mm-hmm. Put kids in a room, or at least one kid in front of the plate.
Like a sleeve of Oreos.
Yep.
Or you can have $10,000.
They don't understand the concept of the value.
They take that. Or you do the one that's a little more fair to the kid.
Oreos.
Right. You do the one a little more fair to the kid.
Yeah.
And you'll put it there.
Yeah.
And then they'll leave the room and say, hey, don't eat this. Mm-hmm. And the experiment is to show these kids. And what some will do is some will stare, and they're literally pulling their hair out because
the cookie's right there in front of them. They can see it the whole time. It's
they were told not to. They know they're not supposed to, and they don't. Mm-hmm. But they are, oh my gosh, they're delaying this gratification. Others are kind of picking at it, eating little bites, until others just take a bite and it's gone.
But then there's the one smart kid. Hey guys, Rhett here. Just want to take a moment and say thank you to every single one of you who have taken the time to follow us on social media. Now, if today is your first time to join us for an episode, man, we want to say welcome, friends. It's so good to have you with us. Could you take a moment, look us up on Instagram or Facebook? You can find us there at Armchair Authentic, or you can go on over to X, find us there as well at Armchair Auth Pod. That's Armchair Auth, AUTHPOD. All right, now back to the conversation. But then there's the one smart kid that's like the less than 1% that takes the cookie and the plate and puts it on underneath the table so they don't see it anymore.
So they remove the temptation.
They remove it. And they don't know why. They just like, I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If I'm remembering
and they're about the only ones that make it through the whole thing.
The study will show, as they've gone on to see, that the kids who actually showed the self-control not to gratify themselves immediately, like it went on to show the discipline that they had in their life. And there was actually like a link towards more success as far as like completing high school, completing college, actually stepping into a, as we would call in the American way, a good solid job because of the delayed gratification. So there is something. It would be so much harder for me to have grown up in this generation.
Oh, golly, I'm grateful. I mean, I know we're still in this generation, but we're not necessarily a young adult or a teenager.
We still can get instantly gratified finding something anytime we want to.
Yeah.
It can happen. So nothing changes. Parents are staring at their phone the entire time.
How many
with
conversations can you have now? Like, let me Google that. Let me Google that. Let me Google that. Let me Google that. It's like carrying around an Encyclopedia Britannica with you all the time.
Yeah.
Like anything and everything at any moment.
It's the knowledge of tree. The knowledge of the tree of good and evil.
And there's a lot of good in that. But then, my gosh, we're either becoming really smart or really stupid or both at the same time. And that's my whole thing with AI right now. It's like I'm loving it, and I'm challenging every leader and pastor, like, if you're not using ChatGPT to be your administrative assistant and help you with like grammar and how to think through some stuff. Huge. I mean, golly, it's incredible, but yet there is obviously a shadow side to that too. It's like, well, now your creativity's tanking, maybe I'm freeing up more mental energy to be more creative. I don't know, but
there's got to be a balance. Like if you do free up the space, good, but now still go create in another space.
Yeah.
It's if you stop creating, then maybe that's where you lose it. But I think you're right. Maybe it frees up another space to now.
I have not asked it to write me a song though. I have not done that yet. And I'm very tempted to go, hey, I'm messing with this opportunity, and I'm thinking about these storylines, and here's kind of the theme that I want it to be, and I need a word that rhymes with, Yeah. I mean, how many when
ChatGPT was first coming out, my 15-year-old now was like, he was one of the first jumping on it.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine was starting a coffee company. And I remember we're sitting by the fire pit one night, like, how cool would it be to create a theme song for him? And I don't realize, but he's asking me questions. Same thing he did for our song, Armchair Authentic, that we have somewhere. And he said, let me ask some questions. Well, actually, let me go back to our story and we'll make this applicable. He asked me personal questions about me and you, Rhett. He was asking about the podcast. Why are we doing what we're doing? All this stuff. And he disappeared for about 30 minutes or an hour. Yep. And he came back and he said, hey, Dad, listen to this.
Yo, Armchair Authentic, we keep it real. Justin Bradshaw and Rhett Barton, that's the deal. Talking about real conversations, no faking. Real life stories, real people, no mistaking. We dive deep into the topics that matter, unfiltered and raw, no need to scatter. From love and relationships to politics and fame. Armchair Authentic is the podcast game. Justin got the wit, Rhett got the charm. Together they bring the fire, causing no harm. They ain't afraid to ask the difficult questions, challenge the norms, provoke introspections.
And there it is.
I mean, in 1 hour, He had that thing ready to roll.
Did he do that on ChatGPT?
It was
because I don't think it does.
It wasn't ChatGPT. I know that I shifted our story because I knew I was like, ooh, we have a sample of this that we can play. So I changed it. So that was more of another app, but it was still AI.
Okay. Yeah.
But no, he did that for ChatGPT to write a song for a coffee company.
Okay.
And he asked me questions about it, and I told him the name of it, the theme of it. It was like a 50s kind of diner vibe.
Let's go.
Man, we're sitting making s'mores, and in like 10 minutes, he was like, how do you like this? And he read the lyrics. And I'm not trying to sound like the old timer here, but as a songwriter who's put easily 10,000 hours on writing songs, I was almost like, it's amazing, and almost like, well, dadgum. I used to have an edge, and the edge is gone. I mean, that was kind of the mindset of...
because now anybody has access
not anybody,
to be able to...
You couldn't just do that. You couldn't, so many times we do the events in the past, and it's like, hey, can we write a fun song with this? And it's like, oh, I got that. Like, I thrived at that. Yeah. I mean, you tell me to build a house, I'm like, go ask so-and-so. I'll write you some lyrics. And I was happy for him to know how to track it down, because that is where we're going. But as the artist, I looked at it and just had that first moment of, oh, man.
I still don't think, like, when it comes to melodies and stuff, like I don't use AI for this, so maybe I'm wrong, but I just think there's still something very beautiful as far as the creative ability that just comes from the, who we are.
Yeah.
And being, totally. I don't think it's ever going to replace it. But I think the tool for me is when you ever get writer's block, it's like, oh, let me just expound my mind. You know what I mean? Truth be told, being authentic, a lot of our podcast episode titles, like we're thinking through the lens of, hey, maybe this is it. But then we filter it through these tools based off of, the description and things we talked about. And I would say probably, 75% of the titles are AI help, Now we're guiding that AI to give it what we want, but then sometimes it gives us ideas we didn't think about. We're like, oh, well, that's we could never do this without AI on the level that we're doing it. Because literally all I'm doing is plugging in the final edit. What people don't realize
into what we use, like we use a program that is actually, it takes everything that we uploaded and it creates our narrative. It creates
a story.
The
transcript and it regurgitates that into a description of the things we talked about. Because, bro, if we had to sit down and go, oh, that's man. Now, here's what people don't know, and here's the big drop for this episode, is that these conversations have been 100% AI generated. Like, I am the AI Rhett right now. The person you're hearing is not really Rhett. He's at the beach somewhere.
This is the announcement.
He asked me to step in alongside
We're letting
Justin's
you guys
AI.
know. Welcome. I hope Justin and Rhett are having a good time at their trip.
I mean, down to the laugh and everything. So there you go. Welcome. And there are some people listening right now. Yeah. Some people listening. Are you kidding me right now? Is this really happening? And the answer is, yeah, maybe.
You know what's funny?
I mean,
we've actually had some comments before.
This is a joke.
It is a joke. Please be aware.
Or is it? Or is this the Matrix? Are we plugged? Are we unplugged?
No, hey,
I'm like, what's happening?
I don't know if you ever saw one of the comments that we had.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Where someone actually thought that our podcast is just two AI generated people talking.
This seems AI generated. I didn't respond to it. I'm like, dang, thanks for the compliment. I mean, if
you're just keeping this up every week, like this can't be real. Yo, this is a lot to be. It's like, no, this is actually this is us, or is it?
Or is it? I know, deep thoughts with AI generated Rhett and Justin.
Yeah. Okay. So
no, being real though, this is really us.
But another story for you. Do you remember?
Hey friends, just want to take a moment and say, if you are enjoying today's conversation, could you do us a huge favor? Would you take a moment and copy the link from your favorite podcast platform and share it with a friend? Email it to a friend. How about airdropping it over to your buddy or your sister right now? Man, that would mean so much to us. Thank you. All right, guys, back to the conversation.
But another story for you. Do you remember? I know you remember, but I want to share it with our audience.
I don't know. Don't ever assume that I remember anything.
You'll remember this one.
I'm having trouble remembering a question I asked my son last night. He's like, Dad, you just asked me that 30 seconds ago. And I'm like, did I?
That's a real thing.
Okay.
But I can take certain memories that have been so far in the past, I seem to can recall those things. Yeah. Here's one of them. You and I'll say these two words first.
Sounds like a song.
Bills.
You and I.
Bills and Raptors.
Okay.
Backyard.
Yeah. Twin Gates
Football
East.
League.
Football League. Yep. I know where you're going with this.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, the Bills won that.
Well, actually, the Raptors won.
No,
but
I
that's not even the
threw
points.
the touchdown, and Darius was right there on the corner. He had 1 foot in.
But I heard the beep go off. There was a beep
no
before
beep.
you said hike.
Oh, no.
It was actually on camera. Jason Hall, rest in peace.
No,
he
that
was
ball
our
came
camera
out
guy.
of my hand.
And if you listen to it, you'll hear this beep, beep, beep,
Do we
beep.
have
And
the
you were
video?
like, hike.
Do we still have the video?
I don't know.
Okay. So this is like, did we really go to the moon and land on the moon? Or was this whole thing manufactured? Like at the end of the day, do you have a video
I don't
to
have
prove
proof
this?
on that. But
Okay,
no,
but I will tell you, we won that game as the Bills.
we let y'all
How
score
old were
because
we?
the timer
14?
went off.
No, we were 16, 17.
It was 15 and 16.
15 I was 16. So we just started serving the Lord.
Oh, yeah.
And we were working through our issues of anger management.
Yeah.
And we worked it
This
out
was
on the
backyard
football
football. That's right.
Yeah.
This is backyard football. A lot of the apartment.
It was an apartment complex, like a little
so
green
a lot of
strip
kids,
in the back.
A lot of teenagers are playing with us. So we
Yeah.
get these 4-on-4, 5-on-5 games
All the time.
That was normal for us.
And this was a big game between the two teams that we had created.
Right,
Because we
create
got
our
Jason
league.
Hall to come out and record this thing.
That's right. And Bills and the Raptors were in the Super Twin Gates backyard football Super Bowl.
And if you know anything about us and have listened to this maybe from the beginning, you'll realize we have very imaginative imaginations. That's what imaginations are, right? But we have the ability to put ourselves in these worlds that we create, and the apartment complex has disappeared. And you might as well have an Oculus glass over your eyes, and you're looking around. You're seeing hundreds of thousands of people, and there's cameramen and referees on the field, and
Is that not
people
what was
are
happening?
watching. I mean,
I
in my
thought that
mind,
was there.
that's exactly what was.
I
Going
know
on
our
in my mind.
players were just standing around watching me and you argue with each other. They were like, "It's okay, the game's over. It doesn't matter."
But I did throw the winning touchdown pass to Darius.
we're like,
Darius
no.
listens to this podcast, and so. Anyway, so you're bringing this up,
And we're up in each
why
other's
are
face.
you bringing this back up? These emotions, Justin.
I remember us being in each other's face. Like,
we were.
It wasn't in. It wasn't in.
It was like
It
I
was
probably
not
had
in.
a few choice
Time
words.
off. It was over. I mean,
here's this Christian kid trying to work through his issues of cussing, and I think I had some cussing going on.
I mean, we were
point.
doing everything but fighting physically. We were in each other's face.
Well, we couldn't because we were trying to influence these kids we were playing football with to go to church and to give their lives to Jesus. And here we are losing it, man.
I mean, and the TV cameras were on us.
Oh.
And I didn't want to look bad in front of the world that was watching.
Yeah.
That's how my mind saw it. This is a performance.
This is before instant replay.
This is big time. Yeah. And so we laid it all on the field.
Well, we
got so upset with each other. We agreed strongly to disagree.
Until this day,
And
we still disagree. We got a podcast about it, so we can talk through it now.
But I remember we left.
Yeah.
And it was like our teams kind of went with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But you went in your house. I went in my apartment. Yeah. And do you remember what happened?
You wrote a letter, I think.
I did.
And either you brought it to me personally, I don't remember.
did.
But yeah, and you still have the letter, I think.
Or you do.
Do I? Maybe I
don't know.
did.
It's probably somewhere in your bags.
I don't think I. Maybe I do. Maybe it is in the garage somewhere.
And so
who knows?
I ended up writing a letter resigning
from this made up league,
from the backyard Twin Gates football league.
And then you happened to probably put it in. And by
knocked
the
on
way,
your door.
we won.
I knocked on the door and Rhett answered. I said, "Here," but I didn't want you to read it in front of me.
Yeah.
And I walked off.
Yeah. I'm like, what is
and then
this?
we came back together.
Yeah, like
later.
10 minutes later. Yeah.
True story.
Because
everybody.
but the letter had something to do with I feel like this is pulling me away from my relationship with God, and it's not allowing me to be the purest example of Christ, and so it was the whole, I'm not trying to say it wasn't what needed to happen in the process and the journey that is, but looking through the lens now, it's kind of like it was a little dramatic.
It was totally dramatic. But if you think about what even happened, we'll tell all these stories on the podcast, and it's so fun. But there's certain stories I will go back to.
Yeah.
And I didn't have it then. It was probably, I don't know how many years later. I would have defended that till the end, that was the right, that I was making the most godly gesture I knew to make in my life, because I did not want to go back what we were in before. That was your best at
that point. Yeah.
That was because what had happened in that moment, it was the first time I got angry since surrendering my life to Christ. It was the first time I got in like a fight, me and you just completely going off on each other. And it's like, I didn't know how to handle that. And
well, neither did I.
I just thought that I cannot let, the words that we would use in church world, I will not lose this anointing in my life.
Yeah.
And I just knew I'm not going to have this in my life.
Well, it was the anointing in the relationship.
And I was going to shift away immediately to avoid what was right there. And obviously, you get to look at it many years later. That was obviously an avoidance going on that, I had an opportunity right there. And obviously it's a kid, so I'm not trying to remedy the kid, the 15-year-old. But I've looked back on that story as I've gone through my journey with Christ, as I was starting to face certain things, realizing that was just a kind of this microcosm of other things that happened too, where I would avoid certain things almost, and being able to justify why I wouldn't go be a part of it. And my conscience felt clean and clear about it. But it doesn't always mean it's the right thing. It means that we have a protection. There was somewhere along the lines I had built up that protection, and I was not going to let that get messed up again. And when I felt a moment, which we obviously would know now if we're coaching people, that's a moment to actually step in, and it's an invitation to challenge and confront. I wasn't ready. My mind didn't see it as that. It looked like the enemy. And I stepped away. I disengaged from an opportunity that could have actually been a good growing moment.
So am I hearing you say it was your way of controlling, a way of trying to control comfort in your life so you didn't have to confront an issue that now, looking at it, the healthiest thing to do would have been to confront it, to talk through it, and to work it out rather than to try to create your own scenario or your own.
But what I saw it then wasn't like running away from it's not comfortable.
Okay.
I looked at it like, this is not God. God would be over here where it's comfortable to me.
Knowing that God is also in the discomfort as well. Yeah.
But I wouldn't have looked at it.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it like that.
Yeah.
I looked at it in the sense that God is with me by disengaging from this.
Yeah.
And so I made that holy gesture, if you will, as a reaction to what we had just gone through. When it was actually really, in fact, as I began to notice in my life, I started doing the same thing. I remember my Aunt Debbie said this: if you're listening, Aunt Debbie, I love you. You've made such an impact that you'll never know in my life. She was the evangelist of the family. Like, she married a pastor who was also an evangelist, but they were from Bogota, Colombia. My mom's sister, she'd come back into town. We loved it because she was always the sweetest. You know Aunt Debbie. But I remember we would have talks when I was surrendered, my new life in Christ. And she saw when that change happened. And she was just spirit-filled believer. She was so happy to see this change. But she started noticing things that I did with the family. The family would have certain events, and I never wanted to go, because I had this new life. I was like me and Rhett. I had our church. I was at the church every time the door was opened.
Yeah.
Anytime there was a family event and we had a church event, I'd be like, hey, I can't make it to that. I got a church thing. Because in my mind, that was the protection place. That was the place of safety. That was the place where I felt like Justin, and I felt like somebody. I felt like a guy who God is moving through. Family represented what it was. Other than my dad, we've already talked about old Bill Bradshaw. He was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me. Love my dad so much. He did an amazing job as my dad and my mom. He kind of did both.
Yeah.
But that other side of the family, it always, as a kid, represented danger, a little uncertainty. What I had gone through with my mom, it just felt, the flags would go up. I didn't know how to describe it in such a way, but I would stay away from it. And so I remember my Aunt Debbie talking to me one time because I would go over there when she's in town.
Yeah.
And the family would be like, why does he only come when she's around? Because she was like what I felt like a light. Mm-hmm. And she challenged me one time and she said, Justin, it challenged me, but she wasn't like pointing her finger at me. She said, I understand why you always want to go be at the church. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I want to be there because that's the right thing to do, Aunt Debbie. And she says, you had such a tough time growing up. She said, with your mom, I know it was a hellish situation that you grew up in. And this is a place of safety. And I see God moving in your life. And in my mind, I'm thinking, no, this is where God's moving in my life. This is the right place. Yeah. But she was calling it exactly what it was. And I didn't have the eyes to see it then, but it was Aunt Debbie. So I listened to her and she brought that to light that they don't understand you over here and you're understood over there. You feel protected over there. And this reminds you of what you've come up under, which has been a very shaky ground atmosphere. You just don't know what to expect. And the young boy in you gets scared when you're over here. I mean, she was nailing it, but I didn't know she was nailing it. And I think I tried to receive it, but at that time I was Justin, the guy he's retired from the football league in our backyard because I'm holy and I'm not going to get involved with this. So I was a little more holier than thou. But those situations kept happening where I would just avoid. And God uses things where I was protected in a good way from some things. So it's not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. But there was some things to learn. There was a lack of mentorship, even at my church. Mm-hmm. That was the place we went, and people loved us being there. But I didn't have that person, other than my Aunt Debbie, actually telling me, like, hey, Justin, this is going to feel safe right now. But the best way that you're actually going to grow is to confront these things. Yeah. So if anything, I was in an atmosphere that would like celebrate. You're here every time the church doors are open.
I was about to say that. Like we were in this moment.
Celebrated.
We were celebrated, but we were also like, if you're not here, then where were you?
It's true.
And that's accountability, but there can also be an unhealthy side to that.
Yes.
I was with family. Well, you should have been here with your family.
It's true.
You're kind of torn between the two, and
or why your family's not here because they're back and slidden.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't want to interrupt your story
keep going.
or take away from the direction you want to continue to go with, but
this is great.
I'm sitting here thinking through the lens of now being a parent with my son, and there are moments where I'm thinking, is it wrong for us to not be out of service? Because I'm thinking, wow, we got to be there, And so like, I think there's a balance,
Absolutely.
you definitely don't want to you don't want to disconnect for just disconnecting, because then ultimately that can lead to things. But I think it's okay if you had a really, really long day and you miss a youth function. Yeah. It's okay.
Right.
I would rather him be able to understand when his body needs rest. And while there can be rest and fulfillment that comes from after a long day at school, going into youth, but like he's there 95% of the time. It's okay if 5% of the year he's not there. And I know some people will argue that and go, no, by God, they need to be. And I get it. I see both sides of it. But that's where I struggle today based off of how we were kind of raised in those moments. Because it was just like, oh, well, if you're not there, then you're missing it and you're missing the moment but there's something to be said about being at home with your family sometimes too. And sitting in those moments, I
think that's what your son has. That's what Max has in you and Linda. He has a place to come home to.
Exactly.
And he knows he's loved, he's championed.
There's a comfort there of just resting with mom and dad.
I knew I was loved, but that's you said the key words, mom and dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had dad and mom in one named Dad.
Me too.
You did too. That's why you and I had such a great connection at such a young age. Like which made my dad had to be both. Mm-hmm. In all that we went through, I can look back and understand what had to be the weight on him and it resulted in him at certain times with me. It was almost like he had to baby me at certain times because he hated stuff that we had to go through. That it's like if I would go out with you, Rhett, he might be like, now you be careful, Juddy.
Yeah. Well,
you be careful, buddy.
And my dad did the same thing. I mean, like I love my dad. My dad's wonderful. We're hanging out today. We're going to a tennis game together. Watch my son play. Yeah, love him. We play cards and stuff. And these are things. But he had to be both as well. And I can only imagine how exhausting that had to have been for your dad and my dad, and for those who are walking through that right now as a single parent. Yes. My heart goes out to you. You're doing a great job.
Keep going.
You know, keep going, encouraging. But that's where I think our relationship even connected to be a safe place together. Yeah. And I don't think we would have ever been able to identify it then. But now looking back at our similar scenarios, we became brothers in a way of protection. Yeah. And we walked into the church family and we're seeing moms and dads and all this together. And it was a very comfortable, safe place for us, to where so much so it became a medication for us, if you will.
That's a great word, yeah.
To where we didn't want to walk back into hanging out with our dad or hanging out with, certain scenarios of family situations, because it was like, well, that it's not a safe place. Yeah. Or maybe that was, but it wasn't as safe as, we were growing into. I don't know. I'm trying, even as I talk it out loud right now, I'm still processing kind of this moment. I'm going on this journey with you.
Yeah, well, I didn't know to.
So it's not like our families were unsafe, but like compared to how we were medicating, I think is the word I'm looking for, through the church. Yeah, and rightfully so. A lot of healthy things happening there. We should have also had the balance to go, okay, now you need to learn how to have this same presence no matter where you are, and how to walk that out. You can still
go be surrendered and go to your family side that you're not as comfortable with.
Yes.
And still go be the light there, and that's okay.
And you can still do that playing football.
And you can still have a disagreement playing football in the backyard, and the healthiest things, because what I missed in those times, and I didn't know. Yeah. But and the reason I say this now is people are facing this on the daily. Mm-hmm. And what you're missing out on, what I missed out on then when I didn't engage in those moments, is I didn't have a chance to truly, we've talked about it, last week, but lamenting. I didn't have a chance to lament or get frustrated or show emotion, because I looked at it as a sign of weakness and not godliness. And which means I was missing God there the whole time, because he waits in moments like that. Mm-hmm. And I was missing secondarily a connection with my best friend, where we could have actually had some resolution, learning how to have conflict and actually get better.
Well, Yancey said this on one of our conversations. If you remember, she said she learned how to have peace in the midst of tension.
Yes. I mean, that's it.
And for us, it was like we can only speak for our story for where it was. I didn't know how to have peace in the tension. So therefore I ran from tension and became the peace quote maker. And my ability to try to create peace in every environment was to run from conflict. And that's so the worst thing you could ever do.
I'm with you.
And I'm like, that's all I ever knew how to do. Is like, well, and that's why I always like, be kind, be nice, be friendly. Hey, all right, we're not going to talk about that. Let's change the subject. Let's keep moving. But the goal is like, no.
Let's have this out.
Let's have the conversation and learn how to grow through this tension to get the better result on the other end.
It's so, I mean, Rhett, that's so well said. Like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, talk about cover a multitude of sin. I could have covered a multitude of wasted time or frustration. Even in ministry, growing up many years later, that stuff, I would back off. Like, well, if you're going to come in that high, I guess I'm going to act like you're right. And I would back off, and feeling like I'm the right one by backing off. But I'm the one who avoided the chance to say, but I don't agree with that. Here's how I see it. And then we finally learn how to go back and forth, and you get and you end up iron sharpening iron. You become a little more patient. I become a little more, in the right way, aggressive. Yeah. To not be so passive in certain moments.
And peace in the tension for me, like there is a vulnerability there to go, I might be the only one being able to walk in this peace and the tension. There might not be the reciprocal end of it. And that's okay. Like you don't have to, there doesn't have to be a resolve for there to be peace.
Yes.
And I actually had a comment when I was at Topgolf. It was interesting. There was a couple of people who, we would call not unbelievers, but people who really maybe have been hurt by the church or kind of have a misunderstanding of who God is and his character and his nature. And near the end, it was me and two other guys, or three. And one of the guys there, he happens to be my neighbor in this neighborhood. He was crazy.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't, and he was being very honest. And he said, I don't really understand how God, if he's all knowing and all good and all that, could allow such evil in the world. Mm-hmm. And I was able to sit there and have a conversation with him, but have peace in the tension and not have a resolve, but be able to love him, share some truth from some misunderstandings that he's had in his, picture of things he's been told about God and these other things. And I really had a chance to walk him through the true gospel. Now, but it was in a respectful way, but it was in a passionate way. And at the end of it, he said he's still not ready to go there. I said, no worry. Like, I love the fact that you're asking these questions. And I said, whether or not we ever have this conversation again, we live on the same street.
Right.
I just want you to know I love you. I'm for you. And I was able to have peace in the tension without there being a resolve on his end to come over to my side.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and I don't know, man, there's something to be said about that. Cause I don't know, in times past, I might not have engaged with that conversation, or if I had engaged, I would not have felt satisfied until there was that, oh bro, like, you've got to agree with what I'm saying.
We got to fix this.
We got to fix it. But I was really trying to come from a point of understanding why he feels this way. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I would feel the same way too if I had that understanding of God.
You're taking on the farmer mindset. Like, this seed is going to take a while, but the harvest is coming.
Exactly. And
And
I just had an opportunity to plant a seed and just try to go, hey, I just need to correct some misunderstanding here. Like, that's not who God is. And this is why, based off this truth. It was a great conversation, but there was tension.
Absolutely.
I even told afterwards, after he left, and it was great. We hugged it out. I even prayed for him and stuff. One of my buddies there, it was Greg. I said, man, I'm sorry if that went. No, he's like, dude, no, it was great. I mean, what an opportunity we have to talk to people. And I was like, man, I'm very passionate about it. He's like, oh, I can tell, and I'm like, yeah, well, I am. But it's that peace in the midst of tension. And I'm okay to have some tension. And I think that's a missing ingredient that I missed out on as a kid. I can't speak for the church in whole, but that's the ingredient I missed out on in being empowered to be able to walk that out in a way.
And that's who we're talking to. Those who have ears to hear this. This is for you today if you've been going through this, because I believe as we're on the tail end of this episode, there's 4, just from researching, 4 psychological factors that if you're listening to this and you can recognize this, it's going to help you address these similar feelings, and you're going to notice that this is actually coming up. So I'm going to throw these out to us.
Yep.
The first one, and we'll notice a lot of these are what we were just talking about, but the first one is there's a fear of vulnerability, and that means that you're reluctant to expose your true emotions and admit imperfections. Mm-hmm.
Think about that for a second.
That's huge for me, bro.
I mean, we could say a lot of that.
It took a long time for me to get vulnerable.
Vulnerability is scary.
It's terrifying.
Wow.
Especially when you're stepping out for the first time on it. Yeah, that went against everything that I believed at that time. I needed to be like brother Christian. I needed to have things put together. Almost like if I didn't do it right, if I exposed myself to you, like in my emotions and all these things, I would have felt like I was letting God down because I wasn't being the perfect man that I felt like he wanted me to be.
Well, bring it into perspective of even, how many years we've been serving the Lord, 29, 30, whatever it is.
Yep.
With this podcast. I mean, it took us 3 years to get to the point where we're like, okay, let's take a step and make this podcast. And get authentic and vulnerable. I mean, there's some things we're not going to open up to, and there's wisdom to that.
There's a lot of wisdom in that.
But I feel like the journey that we've been going on, if you go back and listen from the beginning to now, it's like just seeing the ability to get a little bit more, vulnerable.
And I hope that you do. I hope you go back and listen and see that we too are growing through this process.
Yeah.
Like, we are students. This is why we have such an interest in helping people with this, because we're living in this and we want to see people experience that freedom.
Yep.
The second one, perfectionism.
That's me.
The tendency to strive for flawlessness and set excessively high standards, often leading to self-criticism and fear of failure.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
You could put me right in that box. I mean, I'm like 99% of me lives in that box.
Bro, I got about 138 half-written songs because they just weren't hitting the level. And I'm like, I am not going to let anybody hear these. I mean, just you put it in any category.
Any category of life.
Even with Summer, I mean, we're hitting 25 years of marriage. We're going to talk about that in a future episode, me and you and our marriage journeys.
Yeah.
Over the past several years, and even now, there's only certain vulnerabilities I notice that I'm beginning to break out of, and it's wonderful. The very things that we were terrified of, it actually will set you free, that you don't have to have it just all together. And that is really, really nice. The third one is conflict avoidance. Well, that's what we just talked about on the football field. Inclined to steer clear of situations that might lead to emotional discomfort or confrontation.
Yeah.
That was me when the Raptors beat the Bills and you didn't think that we won.
Well, yeah. Well, let's be real. We won that game, but whatever. We can still live in there's peace in the midst of this tension. We just have to, until we meet Jesus face to face. This will be one that Jesus will sit us down and go, okay, we're going to play the replay from heaven. You guys ready? Here we go.
I cannot wait for him
And he
to
will
do
wipe
that.
away every tear from your eye.
No, because he'll say joyful tears are okay.
Joyful
Victory tears are
weep
all right.
with those who weep.
No, like Jesus, get rid of towel and don't go for his feet. Go for his eyes.
Oh man, I'll watch his feet with my tears. Anyways, but yeah,
that's a real one.
I know you're trying to move it on to the
No,
next
you're
one.
good. You're good.
So good. Oh man, because I'm okay with living with this tension. We can laugh about it now.
But the conflict avoidance, bro.
But no,
there's so much to be gained from those moments.
Like I said, man, no shame on my parent and my dad. He did an amazing job. But like all the stuff that I went through as a kid, like the only thing I felt like I went through so much that I felt like I had to create peace in order for me to feel like I could, that's what I did. I was a conflict avoider and you guys would mess with me, you and Micah.
You did that with me and Micah.
Yeah, it's like Rhett's the peacemaker in this. And then I don't know, somewhere along the lines as I grew in my maturity with the Lord, like I just learned how to get past that. And I'm still,
it's
my natural tendency
Yeah.
is that, but I've grown so much out of that to where I'm like, I don't care if you're mad at me, you're mad at me.
And
whatever. That's your issue, not mine.
In different seasons of life, we would show strength in those areas. Like use Micah as an example. Me and Micah could fight it out with the best of them, and I did not suffer from conflict avoidance at all.
Yeah.
You would jump in there and feel it.
Yeah.
But then there's the times too where I'm now going through it and I don't want to have the
It gave me
conflict.
so much anxiety. I was like, I have got to bring peace to this situation because I can't handle this.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why. You know, and
it happens now. Like here I am, a grown man, me, my brother, and my dad.
Oh, yeah.
Like there will be fights of just verbal. We are arguing with each other that sets in. And my brother is very opinionated, and I can be the same way too. And my dad does not like. He is the peacemaker. So he's like, all right, guys, let's just forget about this. Hey, you might want some pie, and it used to be like we would just stop and it would frustrate my brother. And now it is the normal thing.
Well, let's just sit with it.
If I feel my dad shutting it down, ain't this right, Dad? You listening? If I feel Dad shut like Bo down, like, come on, Bo, let's just don't talk about it. I will stop it and say, hey, Dad, let him talk. Like, I'm a big man. I can handle this.
Yeah.
And me and my brother will have our disagreement out in the kitchen or with family. People got their ideas that everything's perfect in certain people's world.
Yeah.
It's messy. Anything worthwhile is messy. And we will have our messy little argument and we'll see each other's side. We can agree to disagree or we can actually shift each other's perspective, but we didn't avoid having that conflict. And it's never backfired on me where I wish I would have just shut my mouth. Like if you can have a healthy like conflict, like you actually, me and my brother have gotten closer in our later years than we did our entire childhood.
But there's humility that comes from it though, and there's a wisdom to be able to walk into it with peace, not trying to get a resolve, but just try to be understood.
Yeah, it's not. It is exactly the fix. We've said this so many times.
We try to fix so much crap, don't we?
If we stop fixing it and just welcome that talk you had with your neighbor, and just you're planting seeds.
Yeah,
it's planting seeds. That's all it is. And
And I'm not any better than he is, and he's not
Yeah.
like it's one of those moments. Like I don't think I'm better than you. Like this is a honest
Right.
conversation
Yes.
of just somebody who cares and trying to bring a clear understanding. And whether you agree or ever, it doesn't change my aspect of us being able to hang out,
Yeah.
do life, come back to Topgolf, have a good time.
Yes.
You know, like but
And
yeah.
my encouragement to the person listening who might have, whether we want to call it this or not, is pride. If we have that pride and someone is challenging you and you want to walk away, my encouragement is try your best in the discomfort and just pause and listen. Mm-hmm. Just if it's not abusive, I don't mean that. You got to leave abuse. But if you're being challenged, it could be you who's not ready to hear the challenge. And you might grow if you would just stop and at least listen to what they're trying to say. Mm-hmm. You don't have to agree.
It's good.
But it allows you to have some kind of conversation and just get rid of conflict, avoidance in your life. And then the last one will be self-protection. And that's the behavior aimed at shielding yourself from potential hurt or rejection by distancing from emotionally challenging situations.
Yeah.
All these are very similar. Like there's a likeness to that.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I was emotionally charged in that moment. And because I had a wrong theology that God's not in that, and I need to step away, so many times, and I'm speaking to the Christians too right here, we can grow up with bad theology and we avoid those who are different or disagree from us, or you're from a different denomination. And it's usually probably because you've had a leader who has probably been a bit heavy on, you got to believe this, you got to believe this. And if someone brings a different opinion, you feel like you're compromising. That can happen all the time, and you distance yourself, and therefore all you're doing is self-protecting. And what's happening is you are missing opportunities for the connections that it might be God bringing into your life.
Yeah.
I would say some of the closest relationships you'll have are the ones that maybe that first encounter, it wasn't actually a great one, but you actually got through a little bit of the tension and found out there's a lot of common ground.
Mm-hmm.
There's a verse, Psalms 139:3, that says, "You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways." And if we could just have that confidence to know God's familiar with all of our ways, like no matter the tension that we're going through, no matter what you might be feeling in that moment, like God is familiar with your ways. You don't have to hide anything from him. He already sees it. And what I love about the Psalms is you can be so honest, and David was so honest, and the psalmists were so honest in getting these feelings out because God already knows. He's familiar to your ways. And that's why that Psalm 139 concludes in 23, verse 23 and 24. "Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts." He already knows your anxious thoughts. Know my anxious thoughts. "See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting."
I'm glad you read that verse, because that's exactly what I was thinking.
So cool.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for the hang. And chocolate chip cookies mixed with sweet tea turns out to be a pretty good combo.
It's a great combo.
For
and it's
conversation.
what I would encourage you. It's a great thing if ever you're wanting to remember the Super Bowl Twingate champions of 1993, the Raptors.
Bills. And the way we said that made the Raptor Bills. Sure, they both won. I would say the fact that we're still friends today means that, hey, we both won. Did we not? We won. You won. I won. We won. Like we won. Right? We can agree. We can agree
the timer
on that.
was out. The Raptors
Oh,
won.
yeah, no, the Bills won. Whatever. That ball left my hand. Peace in the midst of tension. Hey friends, thank you so much for joining us on today's conversation. We cannot wait until our next episode that drops next Monday. So until then, we hope you have a great day, stay safe, and we will see you soon right here with your friends, Rhett and Justin at Armchair Authentic.